For our last family trip to Walt Disney World, we actually stayed at Art of Animation in the Little Mermaid standard rooms. Our girls at the time were 1 and 3, so overall they really enjoyed the resort. But I wanted to share my honest review, our takeaways, pros and cons, and our thoughts overall as staying here again as a family of 4. Hey, I'm Kinsey, a Disney loving mama and travel agent who helps families tailor the magic based off of their budget, pace, and personalities. So I have a feeling that if you are watching this video, you have been considering Art of Animation and are wondering a little bit more about it. However, real quick, just like my previous resort review, I want to give a very high level overview of what you can expect based off of what is there. And we're going to start with what Disney says about this resort. Okay, so Art of Animation. Be surrounded in the artistry, enchantment, and magic of Disney and Pixar movies. Stay at a Disney resort hotel that invites you to explore the storybook landscapes seen in such classics as Finding Nemo, Cars, The Lion King, The Little Mermaid. From delightfully themed family suites to wondrously detailed courtyards, tongue twister for me there, Disney's Art of Animation draws you and your family in to become a part of some of your animated favorites. So basically, overall, like I said, you're going to have The Lion King, Finding Nemo, Cars, and The Little Mermaid. It is all about Disney animation at this resort. So it's actually going to have 3 different pools, one in the Cars area, one in the Little Mermaid area, and the main one right outside the lobby area, which is the Finding Nemo pool. And then there's also a Nemo-themed splash pad. And then a little bit behind that, there's also a Nemo-themed playground. And then this does have Disney Skyliner access. It's considered in the ESPN Wide World of Sports area. So the Skyliner, you can hop on from Art of Animation and take that to Hollywood Studios and Epcot, and then that would be bus transportation to the other 2 parks, Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom. Like it mentioned, it does have a good chunk of family suites, plus the Little Mermaid standard rooms. But besides the Little Mermaid standard rooms, everything else is a family suite. And as far as the dining options at this resort, there is just a large food court by the gift shop by the lobby called Landscape of Flavors. And so you have some options there with your dining. So as I mentioned, we stayed in the Little Mermaid standard rooms. It was just me, my husband, and my 2 daughters. So we didn't really need any more room than for the 4 of us. So the Little Mermaid rooms are, like I said, standard rooms. So they have 2 queen beds and a decent amount of space. But I wanted to give you guys a quick look at what a room looked like. Now let's dive in to some of the pros and cons of this resort. And this is going to be pros and cons of the resort slash Little Mermaid standard rooms, because obviously I'm not going to be speaking to the family suites since we didn't stay there. But as a travel agent, I do know a little bit more about those. So I'll be touching on those kind of against the standard rooms, if you will. So starting with some of the pros, the good stuff, of course. One of the biggest pros in this resort, in my opinion, is the overall theming. I mean, like we were talking about, it is themed to Disney animation, including Nemo, Cars, Lion King, Little Mermaid. It's some of the little kids' favorites, and I just think that it's overall an amazing experience. Like, the theming is awesome. Before we even stayed at that resort, we had stayed at Pop Century, which is right across the way, and we came over just to see like the Cars area, take pictures with Lightning McQueen, see all the fun Nemo things. Overall, the theming for littles is just absolutely amazing. Literally walking around the resort and seeing the different characters like Lightning McQueen, Mater, the different areas, everything that they have to offer, the Nemo playground, the Nemo splash pad, the 3 different pools. All of them are kind of really like photo ops based off of those different movies. I mean, doing all of that is honestly just an activity in itself when you're staying at this resort. Another pro, if you've been watching my videos, you know that this is a personal pro of mine, is the Skyliner access. It is our favorite way to get around Disney World using Disney transportation. We love the Skyliner, so especially with littles, being able to have something that is not all buses, huge perk. Being able to break up that bus transportation and have Skyliner access to 2 out of the 4 parks gives you a lot of flexibility. While the line can get backed up, I am never really bothered by it because the Skyliner, unlike the monorail or the buses, you're not really waiting for it to arrive. The Skyliner is that gondola system, so it's just continuing. Therefore, I feel like the line honestly moves pretty quickly. One con to that Skyliner hub specifically is in the morning. Like I said, Pop Century's across the way, so there's kind of 2 lines going, one from Art and one from Pop. So that can sometimes slow things down. But overall, I feel like even if we've gotten in line for the Skyliner when it's decently long, we've never had to wait a super long time. So again, that is just a huge pro for us. And the kiddos love it. It's like a ride in itself. Plus, it's hooked to other resorts like Caribbean Beach Resort, Riviera Resort. And then if you get off at Epcot area, you really get off to where you can go left into Epcot when you exit the Skyliner, or right towards all the boardwalk resorts and Disney's boardwalk itself. So just having the Skyliner to not only get to the parks, but be able to access other things and be able to do some like resort exploring is really great for that arrival day or even break days that you take. Third pro that I want to talk about, I know I mentioned that there was 3 different pools, but the pools in itself here are a huge perk when you are staying with littles. The main pool, the big blue pool, the Nemo pool, it is the largest pool on Disney World property. So lots of space, fun to say that you're in the largest pool on Walt Disney World property. And then of course it's all themed to Nemo right there in between all those Nemo buildings. One side's the lobby with the drop-off pool bar, and then the other side of the pool is where you'll see that splash pad, and then behind the splash pad, the Nemo themed playground. So there's a lot right there that is just really good for entertaining littles for a long period of time while at the resort. And then there is also a pool in the Cars area that is themed to like the Cozy Cone Motel, which is really cool. And then on the other side of property where the standard rooms are, there's also a pool there in the Little Mermaid area as well. And then a general pro for this resort, like I said, we stayed in the Little Mermaid standard rooms, but I really think it's a pro of this resort that they have so many family suite options. So with the family suites, it kind of has a room off to itself, and then it can sleep up to 6. If you have 3 kiddos, 4 kiddos, there's a lot of space in here for those families, for your family, or even if you are just a family of 3, 4, whatever, and you're wanting to have some more space, this can really provide some more space to you guys and give you guys some room to spread out, and then also have the fun theming because it is themed to whatever building you're at, i.e. you can get Finding Nemo suites, Cars suites, or Lion King suites. Now that we've gotten some of my favorite things about this resort out of the way, we are going to move over to the cons of this resort slash the Little Mermaid standard room specifically, starting with the fact that the Little Mermaid standard rooms are the only standard rooms on property, which means that the Little Mermaid buildings are in the back of the resort. So they are the farthest away from the lobby, from the shop, from the food court, from the transportation. So that's definitely a con. And I know that is some people's biggest complaint. That was something that I knew going in. I really thought that my kiddos would enjoy the theming of the room, which they did. They weren't like huge Little Mermaid fans, but they thought that it was fun to see. However, that was one thing I really wanted to test out for myself. And while it is a con, I will say it didn't really feel that long to me. Maybe I'm crazy, There were a couple times where, mostly on the way back to our room, I was like, okay, this feels a little longer than I remember. But overall, you can walk through the Lion King section, and then you get to the Nemo section, and I don't know, my kids just loved walking through every day. Like literally every time we would get to the Lion King section, every single day they would be like, Zazu, 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 because they saw him as we were entering that area. And they were amazed by it every single day. And so it was just fun to see their reactions every single day while we were heading to get on the transportation. But that being said, obviously you're doing a lot of walking while at Disney World. So if you want to not stay way far away and have even more walk to and from your transportation when you're getting back from the parks, especially, this would definitely be a con. Another con, again, I say it's a con because I feel like some people would find it a con. It kind of was a con for us, but not something that would be so big that it would prevent us from staying there, is the fact that they only have a food court for your food options. So just, I mean, you know what a food court is. Think general food court. And that's kind of the food options that you have. You can mobile order, so that's nice. There was a couple times that we were putting the girls down for a nap. I mobile ordered from the room. And then as they were falling asleep, I just headed down there, picked it up, came back. So it is nice to have the mobile ordering option from the food court. However, like I said, we don't find this a huge con because, one, we do order groceries when we arrive, so that we have snacks, breakfasts, and little things that we can just grab from our room. But that being said, I will say by like the last couple of days when we were like, okay, what are we going to eat? Like, we just didn't really feel like food court food. So it can become sort of a con. But overall, even when we've stayed at Pop Century, which also has a food court, we've never found that to bother us too much. But if you are someone who is big on food options, having some variety, especially if you're planning on doing multiple days at your resort, this would maybe be a con for you. Hello, guys. So real quick before we jump into our last and third con, if you're wondering what the heck just happened, I was editing my video and realized that I was wearing a mic in the first video, and for the last 5 minutes of my video, the mic was apparently dead and I had no idea. So there was no audio. So cheers, coffee, lots of it, coming at you with the third and final con of Art of Animation Resort. Okay, so I will say this was probably like the con that bothered me the most, and that may make me sound like a little bougie, I don't know, or whatever. But basically, if you're comparing, like, let's say we're comparing the Little Mermaid standard rooms with the Pop Century standard rooms, one big difference is that the Pop Century standard rooms have a queen bed and then a Murphy queen bed. So there's like a table and then you can pull it down when you need that bed. And then there's the two queen beds, but you no longer have your table. With the Art of Animation Little Mermaid standard rooms, you just have the two queen beds and then a teeny tiny table over by the TV. So the table is smaller than the one that's like attached to the Murphy bed, but it's always there and the beds are always down. Don't know if that makes a difference. That part's not necessarily the con. I will say a slight con with that is, even though the two beds are always down, the table's way smaller. So it didn't really feel like we could sit there and eat. Like, it kind of became a catch-all for us. I literally ate on the floor at one point, which wasn't a big deal. It was because the girls were napping. But yeah, so a little bit of a con there. But with the room itself, I really didn't like how the door to the bathroom area was a curtain. And then it also had a shower curtain for the shower versus a door, whereas like Pop Century has a sliding door that blocks off the bathroom, and then it also has a shower door. I honestly probably would have been a little bit more okay with just the shower curtain, but I really didn't like having the curtain. I really didn't like having the curtain between the bedroom and the bathroom, like that being the only thing, because I am a mom. I'm getting up before my husband, my girls, to start getting ready, start prepping their stuff so that they can sleep in a little bit longer. And when they wake up, when I wake them up, I'm already ready to go. So I really didn't like having that curtain there. It just felt like overall, if I was going to pick a standard room specifically, I would want the Pop Century standard room versus the Little Mermaid standard room at Art of Animation. And obviously that is specific to the standard room because we did not stay in the family suite. Overall, I will say we enjoyed our stay there. Like I said, the theming was great. The girls loved it. The room, there was some cons in it, but it wasn't horrible. I would prefer to stay there again if we were staying in one of the family suites, trying that out, getting a little bit more space, something like that, versus if I was just going for the standard room vibe, I would prefer to stay at Pop Century. And a pro tip there, if you are between Pop Century for a standard room or the Art of Animation for a standard room, one, if you have a kiddo that like loves all things princesses, Ariel, whatever, by all means, you might want to try that out and have that overly themed Ariel room because they would probably love it. But if it's just a matter of the resorts themselves, if you want to choose Pop Century standard room, you can walk across the bridge where the Skyliner hub is at and go into Art of Animation and see all the cars like Lightning McQueen, Mater. You can see the Lion King stuff, the photo ops. You can use all of that outside of the resort, around the resort of Art of Animation, even though you're not staying there. You can do that in reality at all Disney resorts, like you can resort explore. So just keep that in mind, that if the theming itself and some of that stuff that you're seeing is one of the reasons you think you might want to stay at Art, you can still go over and enjoy most of those things while staying at Pop Century as well. If this was helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more resort rundowns and reviews, and follow along for more Disney family tips and real life visits, park days, how I plan with my littles, how I plan with my family, how I plan for a trip without kiddos. So all things Disney planning, make sure to subscribe to catch all of that. And be sure to comment below if you have any questions specifically around Disney's Art of Animation. I would love to help you out. And if you're thinking, would this be a good fit for us? You're still not quite sure. I would love to help plan your trip with you. All of my planning services are complimentary in your Disney package, so I will leave my link below if you're ready to get started. Until next time, keep chasing the moments that make your family's magic. Thanks for being here. Bye.